Hello, my name is Lorianne. I'm going to be telling the Navajo myth of Changing Woman, as it's found in the book Myths, Legends, and Folktales of America by David Liming and Jake Page. The Navajo women held and carried the family traditions and values, and the myth of Changing Woman represents the transformation and the rebalancing of the male and female energies in the universe. When first man and first woman and the other newly rising people came into this glittering world, they were followed by monsters that had been born of self-abuse in the previous world. And before too long, the monsters had devoured everyone except first man, first woman, and 4 others. First man hoped that the gods would help them, but first woman had her doubts, saying that she didn't know what pleased or displeased the gods. One morning, first man noticed a dark cloud over the mountain, and he decided to go check it out. He surrounded himself with song to protect himself. And as he got to the peak, there started thundering and lightning and terrible storm. But in the storm, he heard an infant cry. So he went amid the driving rain and found the source of the cry and found a turquoise form of a female, which he took down the mountain and gave to Changing Woman, asking her to take care of it. In an elaborate ceremony, a female baby was created from the turquoise figure, and she would become Changing Woman. When she became of age, a ceremony was held, allowing her to be able to give birth. Sometime after the ceremony, Changing Woman grew lonely and wandered off. She lay down flat on a rock by a waterfall with her feet facing east, and she felt the warmth of the sun come over her and fill her. In time, she gave birth to twin boys, who became known as Monster Slayer and Childborn of Water. As the boys grew, they were challenged to ever greater feats by the gods, until they were fit to take on the greatest challenge, slaying the monsters that still roam the land. In a series of great battles, they slew the monsters. They won, and there was now order and harmony within the land. 5 days later, the sun came to Changing Woman and asked her to go with him to the west. There he would establish a home for her so that they could be together at the end of every day when he was finished in the sky. But Changing Woman would have nothing to do with him. She knew he had another home and another wife in the east. So he tried to persuade her, saying, "What is the use of male without female? What is the use of female without male? What are we two without each other?" Still, Changing Woman resisted the sun's warm embrace, but then she began to think to herself, perhaps she was lonely after all. After a long silence, she explained that she would want a beautiful house, as beautiful as the sun's eastern house, floating on the shimmering water, far away from war and disharmony, and surrounded by gems and pets and animals to keep her company during the long hours of the day while she waited for the sun to come home. Nonplussed, the sun asked her why she made such demands, and she said, "You are of the sky, and I am of the earth. You are constant in your brightness, but I must change with the seasons. Remember, as different as we are, you and I, we are of one spirit. As dissimilar as we are, you and I, we are of equal worth. As unlike you and I are, there must be solidarity between us. Unlike each other as you and I are, there can be no harmony in the universe as long as there is no harmony between us. If there is to be such harmony, then my requests must matter to you." So it was agreed in those olden times, and Changing Woman went to live in the west, beyond the farthest shore. And every evening, she was joined by the sun. Changing Woman soon found her days long and lonely, and she yearned for mortal company. Soon her breasts swelled, and her abdomens and her hips. The holy people came and laid her down, head pointing west, and Changing Woman, and they blessed her as she gave birth to what would become the Dene, the people, the Navajo. For the Dene, Changing Woman remains the ideal for which women strive. And it's remembered even today that if the sun and Changing Woman don't get along, then no Navajo can walk in beauty. Thank you for listening to the story of Changing Woman.